Assalamualaikum and hi. Today, my partner and me will present about the culture of seahorse. Firstly, my name is Muhammad Tafi bin Yusuf and my partner name is Anderson Bidat. Today, we will present about the task that has been given by J. Johan, which is culture of seahorse. Okay, next. Son. Okay, the culture of seahorse that I have found, they have six. First one is Hippocampus cams, Hippocampus nuda, Hippocampus mohnicae, Hippocampus trimaculatus, Hippocampus hystrix, and Hippocampus kelogi. Later, I will explain six species one by one. Okay, next. Okay, the first one is the first species of the culture seahorse with Hippocampus cams, which is Canto 1849. This has shown that scientific classification of Hippocampus cam. Hippocampus cam, also known as the tiger-tailed seahorse, which is found in Indonesia, India, Malaysia, Philippines, and Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. The natural habitat for Hippocampus cam is a subtidal aquatic bed and at the coral reef. The common pattern for Hippocampus cam is alternating yellow and black at the color of the body, and the tail has striped from the belly to the tip from the tail. Okay, next. Okay, next species is Hippocampus kuda, Blicker 1852. These are the scientific classification of the Hippocampus kuda. Hippocampus kuda is known as the common seahorse, estuary seahorse, yellow seahorse, or spotted seahorse. It's also known as the common name of Hippocampus kuda is sea pony. And the body of the coloration of Hippocampus kuda is often dark with a grainy texture, but it also has the yellow, cream or reddish with the blotches and numerous small dark spots. And the habit of the Hippocampus kuda is in coastal water with a soft or rocky bottom, sheltered water of trees, harbor or mangrove, and also open pelagic water, where it clings to the drifting seagrass seaweed. Okay, next. Okay, next species is Hippocampus mohnicae, Blicky 1853, and the classification of Hippocampus mohnicae. Hippocampus mohnicae is known as the Japan seahorse. In Japan, they call Kitano umihuma, and Sangotatsu or lemur-tailed seahorse. The color of the Hippocampus mohnicae is usually dark brown all around, but it has maybe more. It has a low right leg crest, and its spine are very low, and the body is appear hereditary flattened, and it has double rounded cheek, spine, and double rounded spine below the eye, and the tail for mohnicae is long in proportion to its body. Okay, next. Okay, next species is Hippocampus trimaculatus, Leash 1814, and these are the classification of Hippocampus trimaculatus. Trimaculatus is known as a flat-faced seahorse, long-nosed seahorse, low-crowned seahorse, or three-spot seahorse. These Trimaculatus are found in Australia, Cocos, Keeling Island, French Polynesia, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Japan, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, and Vietnam. The natural of Trimaculatus is Chelosis, and the color of the body of Trimaculatus can be golden orange, sandy colored, or even they have totally black. And some also have a brown and white zebra like a strip. For example, the last picture is, I think, is a white zebra like a stick. Okay, next. Okay, next is hippocampus hystrix, count 1856, and this classification of hippocampus hystrix. Hippocampus hystrix known as a spiny seahorse, and also it's also referred as a thorny seahorse because around the body have a thorn. The body of coloration is highly variable to match surrounding and goes from gray to cream and from bright yellow to green or red to even brownish. These hippocampus is found at the Bali, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, New Caledonia, and Japan. The body of the hippocampus is slender, elongate, and completely covered with the thorns, sharp with the duct tip, and uniformly sized on the prehensile tail. Okay, next. Okay, last species is a Hippocampus kelogi, Jordan and Cindy 1901. And this classification of Hippocampus kelogi. Hippocampus kelogi known as a great seahorse or also known as Kellogg seahorse is usually found at the shallow water, and the head of the seahorse reasonably has a crown shape, and it varies fine at the prevalently but has a round shape, especially above its eyes, and the color usually in pale and smooth to touch. Okay, next. Okay, next one is the habitat of the seahorse. They have four. The first one is temperature, and the seahorse are usually euthermal, which is they can able to tolerate with a range temperature. The optimum water temperature varies among species, and the limit the temperature of the species based on the temperature have different based on the species. For example, the H Japanese are between 5 to 36 degree. For Hippocampus Buddha is 9 to 34 degree, and for Trimocalatus is 10 to 30 degree. And the optimum temperature for the most species, which is the common, around 28 species. The temperature are important because it changes the seawater temperature and have a direct influence on the growth and the survival. And the effect of temperature on the reproduction activity is very strong, which is the optimal level ranging from 20 to 30 degrees. When the seawater temperature increases to 20 degrees, the sexual activity of the broodstock is increased considerably, and the male specimen will actively search for female to make reproduction. After mating, the female will lay egg into the baby sac of the male, and the hatching out time of fertilizing egg is closely related to the seawater temperature. And this process may take 10 to 20 days at the temperature between 28 degrees to 30 degrees, while for watching is for while for hatching is 25 degree. However, the temperature below 20 degrees will happen. The fertilized egg will not develop into healthy larvae, which is they die in the baby sex. The next one is salinity. It can live in the seawater with a salinity ranging between 9 to 37 ppt, and the adaptation to salinity is closely related to the stage of the maturity And the lowest of juvenile can survive in the salinity is 15 ppt, while for adults, participant can tolerate a salinity of 6 ppt or even lower. Next is dissolved oxygen, DO. The oxygen is important because it's require relatively high for percolating during in hatching period. And the DO is in a culture tank should be above uh, 3 ml per liter. And it's important because seahorse are slow-moving organism. And the last or habitat of seahorse is like intensity. It's required for normal growth and development of the seahorse. And the optimal light intensity range from 1000 to 10,000 lux. For in culture environment where the light intensity is either too strong or too dim, a disease or other abnormal uh, often occur because it does not suitable. For example, the seahorse culture in the dark pond become blind after several days. Therefore, it's very important to maintain the stock under condition or of suitable light intensity. Okay, next. Okay, these are example of production of hippocampus scum. The first one, the picture saw the mating between male and female. After that, the male will carry the egg into the pouch, brood pouch of male. After that, the spawning and release the the fry one day old. After that, we put in the indoor tank with the food of fry, which is copepod and with atomia and nafi. After that, we grow into juvenile until 30 to 40 days. After that, it release or not it change to the indoor tanks or the sea tank. In this case, they will put some food which is frozen acid, mysis, or atemia aldehyde. After that, we market size into 3 or 6 months. Okay, next. Okay, now I will present about the hatchery method. The first method is selection the pair of the seahorse for broodstock. The sexual maturity in male can be recognized by the presence of the broad pouch. The female seahorse will transfer egg to the pouch of male via to the ovipositor tube. After that, the egg will fertilize in the male pouch. The pregnancy lasts for 2 weeks, after which the male gives birth to leave the seahorse. The broodstock seahorse are maintained in 250 liter in circular fiber glass tanks, and the sex ratio is 1 female and 1 male. It means in that tanks need to 1 female and 1 male to broodstock. The temperature of furring water is must keep to 27 degree until 28 degree. For salinity is 30 to 32 ppt and dissolved oxygen at 5 to 7.5 ppm. The excess feed or phase siphoned out from the tank bottom. After that, they have replaced water 30 to 50% of the replaced daily at 8 hours. After that, the sand filter seawater and mid aeration are provided in the rearing tank. In rearing tank and need nylon twines tied to lead sinker to have the broadstock hold fast where the seahorse can call the tail run. The uses of the sand filter is for treatment the water, and these filter are very economical because the sand is a cheap and indestructible material. With a plastic replacing the stainless steel case, and the cost has dropped, and the sand filter is easy to maintain. Okay, next slide. Okay, next one is the larva rearing of the newborn seahorse at the 0 until 30 days. In this larva rearing, the parturition even or the giving birth of male usually occur at the night or in the early morning, and the male seahorse will goes into the labor and pumping the testing to release his growth. After that uh, the young seahorse, which is they have been breeding through the breeding, we call the infant. The new seahorse will immediately swim up to the water surface to give air to inflate the swarm bladder. After that, the new seahorse we collected from the broodstock tanks using the scoop net. After that, transfer to the larva rearing tank. In the larva rearing tank, the newborn seahorse were at 250 liter tank at the stocking density of 3 seahorse. At the tank, the new seahorse will feed a mix of newly hatched Artemia nuclei at 3 mm and copepod pseudotiatomosub at the 10 mm. After that, the feeding must be done twice at 8 hour and 13 hour. The maintain is same with the hatchery method, which is the tank bottom water must be siphoned out, which is excess feed or the what I want to say that the bottom with a siphon foot, which is exit feed, we remove for uneaten food and the fecal matter, which is around 30% of total volume is replaced with the fresh water. After that, the milk ration we continue provided, and on the day 15, the nylon twines that we need to sinker are provided inside the tank to serve as the holdfast for the seahorse. Okay, next. Okay, next one is a larva rearing of seahorse in 1 to 6 months. After 30 days, the feeding with copepod and the juvenile of seahorse are collected from the 250 liter tanks and transferred to the 60 liter tank for nursery rearing at the stocking density 1 seahorse. Feed the juvenile seahorse until 2 months and with mixture of the Artemia 3 mm and copepod at the 10 mm per day. And the method of feeding and maintenance are the seawater as the same as previously at the force. In the newborn seahorse, the nylon twine tights at the lead sinker are provided inside the tank to serve as holdfast for the seahorse, and the seahorse juvenile at 2 to 6 months are maintained in saltwater water. Okay, next. Okay, these are the example of the layout of the hatchery. For the circle shape is for broodstock. After that, the behind there they have leaf foot for a ring, and the up of the broodstock is a 200 liter infant rearing tank, which is 1 to 30 days. After that, beside is 1 ton of juvenile rearing tank is which more than three months, and the small rectangle is 60 liter of the juvenile ring in 1 to 3 months. Okay, next. Okay, next one is about the grow out method. In this, they have 3, which is broodstock maintenance, nursery, and the grow out. Based on this picture, they have 3. Broodstock maintenance is composed with wild or cock and replace it with to make on farming. After that, maintain in 200-liter polythene tanks, and the breeder will be daily fed with MB4 shrimp such as Air Force species and polychaete. After that, the next stage is nursery. After the breeder release the new seahorse, which is they call as the event, he will develop into the juvenile and transfer into the another tanks. The juvenile will maintain for 50 days in 200-liter polythene barrel and feed twice with a zooplankton. Renew the water each 2 or 4 days. The tank and the barrel will provide with the aeration for the bioblower. Okay, the next stage is grow out, which is the below. The seahorse will become juvenile too and be taken or transferred to the grow out. This phase will perform floating net, which is 2 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter made with a PVC frame. So it cover with the mosquito netting 2 millimeter mesh during 90 days. The stocking density was be 80 individual per net cache. The seahorse will relies solely on the natural food producer inside the net and its substrate incubated inside shrimp pond, and the net will brush 3 times a week to remove the falling. Okay, next. Okay, next one, the last one is the capture method. They also have 4. First one is site selection. For site selection, it should be selected near as the possible of the seahorse in order to facilitate seawater pumping, for example, as well as the live food organism. And the salinity and the clear water are very important for environmental factor, and the salinity level should be ranged at 15 to 35 ppt. After that, the capture tank, for they have 3: small hatchery tank, nursery tank, and grow out tank. For small hatchery tank, it's required to intensive stocking of broodstock and larvae, and the tank bottom should be about 2 meter with a depth of 0.6 until 1 meter. The bottom and the walls of the tank must be painted black, and they have 2 end of the tank should be filled with inlet and the outlet. The next one is nursery tank. It's used for capture 7 to 15 day or 15-day old juvenile. It should have 2 to 6 meter with a depth of 0.8 until 1 meter. And the tank will built outdoor must be filled with some sort of, in order to prevent strong sunshine from directly radiating for the capturing from directly radiating the capture water. And the last for capture tank is grow out tank. Is usually quite large, with area ranging between 5 to 20 meter with a depth of 0.8 until 1 meter. After that, the maintenance, the capture stocking density varies with size, and the new larvae must be at density of 3000, which it should be reduced to 200 to 3 meter, because the seahorse, when it's easy, the seahorse reach a body length above 6 centimeter. The rate of water change is depend on the season, which is climate and the other environment condition. During summer, the daily exchange rate should be at least 30% of the total volume. In winter, the rate of daily exchange can be reduced to 20% to 30% every 2 or 3 days. It needs constant, always monitoring the water quality, and the suitable for water quality parameter for farming seahorse is the salinity must be 15 to 35 ppt. Temperature must be 20 to 28 degrees. pH 6.5 to 8. NDO must be above 4 mg per liter. And the feeding for culture seahorse is a small crustacean and the larvae. In this, what's the chart saw that feeding for sea catchers seahorse. Okay, next. Next, I will pass to my partner presentation, Edison.
Thank you, Hoppy. Can you hear my voice? Hello, hello. Test, mic. Okay, is it okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So the next is I will presenting on the harvesting technique and handling process. For harvesting technique for the seahorse, it's only require simple procedure to harvest the seahorse, which is you need to have a harvesting net, which is the diameter 40 cm and 1 millimeter mesh size. And for harvesting time, it is usually carried out after 1 year of the culture. And then for the handling process, after harvesting, uh, the seahorse are soaked in the fresh water, clean water, and then sun dry for several days. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, next is commercial and economic values. The value of the live seahorse is range 100 to 1900 US dollar, depending on the color, the size, and types of market. Okay, and then uh, in China, the price of the dry seahorse, it is about 400 USD per kilogram, which is RM 1,661 ringgit. And then for according to the FAO, dry seahorse that used for traditional medicines and also as a tourist, a value is 100 to 300 US dollar in 2008, depending on size and species. And then other informations like, okay, you can see here this right bottom, the this is the source, that the information that, that we take. This paper is from USN. It mentioned that the single is priced between range. The price range is between 15 to 35 ringgit. However, by pair is 25 to 95 ringgit in the local market of Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, Malaysia. Alright. Then the production cost to the live seahorse at to 10 cm in Vietnam is $1 in 2009. And then in Malaysia, for the price range in Malaysia, the dry seahorse is can be bought online for 750 to 750 ringgit for 250 gram, and then the seahorse can retail at between 300 to 2,000 ringgit, according to the United States report. Okay, the next slide. Okay, source is from Seahorse in Focus, which is called Local Ecological Knowledge of Seahorse, Watching Operator in Tropical Estuaries. These papers uh, is from Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, it mentioned that the uses of this seahorse it, it is 100% for a medical purpose. It mentioned that this seahorse can treat the asthma and others disease, such as to reduce the inflammation, arthritis, uh, and so on. And then for there are 81% of dry specimen threat, and lastly 22% of ornamental threat between the country. And for the additional information, Hong Kong is the biggest importer of this dry seahorse. And then for Brazil is the top top country that are producing or rearing this seahorse. Okay, and then next journal is the international trade in seahorse. Okay, in Europe, the uses of seahorse is to make the medicine or vaccine, which is to cure the or to cure or to avoid the infertility, and then for rabies, and then also for agent against the leprosy, antivenom, and so on. It also the uses of the seahorse in Europe uh, also as a pet, ornamental pet. Okay, and then for personal care, for skin and hair uh, treatment. However, in Asia, it is for treat asthma, chest pain, and hyperactivity, as I mentioned before. And then in Indonesia, it is to the seahorse is one of the ingredient to make the jamu, right? However, for the seahorse in traditional TMC, it is also inspired by the Indonesia, which is a bit different. They use the seahorse, they put it in tea to treat the eczema, and other diseases. Okay, the seahorse species, the that mostly selected to this purpose, it is Hippocampus hystrix, Kuda, Cames, and lastly the Erectus. And apart from that, the seahorse also we can make the seahorse as a accessories like keychains, rings, earrings, and also the brooches. Okay, proceed with the R&D. The first journal is about the embryonic and larval development of hippocampus. Okay, the this is the stages, the embryonic stages. Okay, the development of embryo and larva hippocampus, CUDA, special abdominal group bunch of male, as we mentioned before. You can read this all. Okay, there are 20 to 100 embryos can be found in that pouch. The all stage might take 20 to 88 days to complete. Okay, for the next journal, okay, what I can summarize here is the journal is called The Exploitation and Trade in Seahorse in Peninsula, Malaysia. There's a lot of information that the important information here. Okay, there are 565,000 seahorses were caught by uh, caught and trapped as a TMC, traditional Chinese medicine, in 2001. And then the most heavily exploited species is Hippocampus tremaculatus and Spinosis simus, right? However, the Hippocampus coda and colloquy were relatively um, valuable, but to how to say that, to discover the species or to harvest the species is difficult because the habitat is different between the other species. And then the percentage caught species, as we can see here in the middle column, Tremaculatus were the highest caught, the highest targeted cache, which is 55%, followed by Spinosinus, Kuda, and Kilogi. Alright, okay. We also one of the exporter for this seahorse, and the price is between 300 to 400 ringgit per kilogram. We export it to China, sorry. And then for the price range sales to the wholesaler is 240. And then dry seahorse in Malaysia, 450 to 500 ringgit per kilogram in 2001. And then for the single dry seahorse, the price range is 2 ringgit to 3 ringgit in 1996. And then yellow seahorse sold for 3 ringgit, black seahorse sold for 2 ringgit and 50. Okay, and also for the additional information, in local pet shop, we the price of the hippocampus kuda and Kames imported from Indonesia is 20 to 30 ringgit, right? Okay, the next journal is talk about the also talk about the development. What I can summarize is from this journal is there are four classification. There are four stages for development period, which is early embryogenesis, called as early embryogenesis, and then the observation of the eye development, snot formation, and lastly the juvenile form. Okay, you can see here the embryo stages. It facing different stages day by day, right? This one is the eyes development. First one, optic vesicle, and then the presence of optic cups, and also the appearance or the retinal, the eye pigment in the dorsal eyes region. You can see here in C. Okay, this is the jaw, the snout, ventral jaw form the frontal protruding snout development. Right. Okay. Okay. The next data is the what I can summarize here is a different temperature can affect the growth and survival rate in the early development of the seahorse hippocampus gatuletus. But we can see in this table, we already know it that the temperature below than 18 degrees Celsius is not suitable for the hippocampus gatuletus, and the most suitable temperature is up to 21 degrees Celsius. I think that's all from us. This is our reference. Right.